Hey everyone, sorry for not posting for 2 months, I died. But for the past 2 weeks I've pretty much been playing the new Mortal Kombat non-stop. I've never really done a video like this before, but I do love this franchise and I wanted to talk about it. More specifically about how this was one of the most unfinished, unsatisfying, and disappointing NetherRealm games I have ever played. I'm not too sure how I should format this video, so I put together a list of grievances that I wanted to talk about in some form or another. But before I get into any of that, I do want to say that I need to give credit to the core gameplay of this game. It is incredibly fun, and the cameo system is a fresh and enjoyable gimmick. It's incredibly satisfying to pull off combos in this game, and those combos do go on for a long time, which might annoy some people, but I personally don't have a problem with it. Alright, now that I got that out of the way, let me get started with possibly the biggest problem I have with this game right now: a lack of content. I'm just gonna go down my list in no particular order. So first of all, there's less intro dialogue, and you can't even see the characters talk with each other in towers, invasions, or ranked. We also have a way smaller roster this time around. In MKX we had 24 characters at launch, and in MK11 we had 25. Mortal Kombat 1 has 22 characters if you just buy the base $70 version of the game. Where did the other characters go? We'll get to that a bit later. There's also just not that many cameos. Because each one has only 3 to 5 moves, you'd think that we could get more than just 15 of them. I feel like there should be more cameos in the base roster, and it's a little disappointing to see some characters take up both a roster slot and a cameo slot. I think it would be better if the two rosters were a little more differentiated, but that's just a nitpick. Alright, so one of the things that bugged me out the most is that Quan Chi, Ermac, and Shang Tsung are not base roster. Remember when a pre-order bonus meant something? In MKX, Goro was not a massive part of the story. In fact, he wasn't even part of the story at all. The only time you saw him was as a sub-boss in Towers. Shang Tsung literally just feels like they either didn't have time to make a whole new character to add as an actual bonus, or they just didn't want to. And Quan Chi and Ermac convinced me that this game was rushed out. You fight these guys multiple times in the story, and they are pretty significant to the plot of it. If the game came out maybe 6 months or so later, then they probably could have included Quan Chi and Ermac into the base roster, putting it at the same size as MKX's roster. And the worst part is that we're going to have to pay to complete this roster on top of the base game price. There's also no crossplay. I play this game on PS5, however I have friends who can only play this on Xbox. It's 2023 as of making this video, and crossplay is pretty much a standard across online games at this point. So another thing that really irked me is that there are barely any skins in this game, and I'm not talking color palettes. Those are lazy, and the vast majority of them look terrible on characters. So far, most of the skins are taken up by Johnny and Scorpion, while characters like Havoc, Rain, or pretty much anyone on the left or right side of the roster get nothing. Also, these Season of the Spectre skins are just awful. Most of these characters just look terrible in orange. And how is there only one cameo skin? Sonya Blade is the only cameo in the entire game right now to have an alternate skin. You couldn't just give the repeat character cameo skins to look like their base game counterparts? Their models are right there. Speaking of models of skins that are right there and can't be used, story mode skins. Why can't I play with those Shaolin monk skins for Johnny, Kenshi, Raiden, and Kung Lao? There are more examples than that, but I just find that to be insanely baffling. I mean, you play with them in the story mode, so I know they're usable. There's also no custom intros or outros this time around, which is really sad for me because I always thought that those were the coolest things to unlock in MK11. And when it comes to single player content, if you don't find the invasions mode fun, then tough luck, man. Besides that, in the story mode, single player content is practically non-existent in this game. At the bare minimum, they could have easily put in test your might, sight, or luck, but they just didn't. Oh, and don't you forget about invasions mode just yet. I'm going to save that for its own section later on. Last thing I wanted to cover in this section was the cut tag team mode. I probably wouldn't have even brought this up if gameplay of the cut mode wasn't leaked around a week ago. This to me just shows me that this was supposed to be an extra mode, but they just didn't have time to finish it. Which sucks because this looks like it was almost complete already. All it's missing is fatal blow and grab animations. Probably need some balancing as well, but for the most part it seemed so close. Okay, now I want to go through all the quality of life features that are just absent in this game. For starters, you can't pin combos on your screen, making learning a new character or new combos way slower. There are also no loadouts this time. For some reason, if you want to change your skin, you have to go to the customization tab in the main menu, so no changing from character select. Another thing with the skins is that we don't know where or how to get these skins or gear pieces. In MK11, you can see every single piece of gear or skin in the game, and it would tell you where or how to get it. The shrine, which is where you go to spend your coins, is unbelievably slow. You can only spend 1,000 coins at a time, and every time you do, you have to watch an unskippable 10-second cutscene. Also, have fun getting concept art. Finally, there's also no hidden character select, option to refuse matches with bad ping and ranked, and you can't practice while waiting in King of the Hill. Alright, now let me talk about some things that I personally thought was bad. So the next few points are just going to be my opinion mainly. First up, let me talk about the story. I'm not going to get super in-depth, because I actually thought it was pretty good for the most part. I thought all of the new lore and backstories for these characters were pretty interesting, however there were two parts that took me out of it. The first one was the actual Mortal Kombat tournament. Forget the part where Raiden just unceremoniously beats every single Outworld champion easily. Why in the hell is Johnny, Kenshi, and Kung Lao there? Moral support? And the other one was the worst part in the story for me, the ending. What was that ending? It was like they tried to pull every single modern Marvel trope at the end. The nostalgia-baiting appearance of the Deadly Alliance, the Armageddon Pyramid, and the absolutely boring use of the multiverse. It's like they took all that interesting world and character building from the first two acts of the story and threw it all out the window for the sake of having a multiverse story. Can't we just go back to having a straightforward narrative that's self-contained to one universe or timeline? So that maybe we can actually get invested in these characters instead of waiting for the next reboot or time reset. And I'm sorry, that final boss sucked. It's a fight against Shang Tsung and Cameo Quan Chi, a fight that you already did in Chapter 8, and it's no more difficult now as it was then. Man, remember when MK bosses were intimidating? Shao Kahn, Corrupted Shinnok, hell, I'll even take Kronika over this. Alright, I'm going to take it back a bit before I go into Invasions talk. Let me tell you guys about Johnny Cage. I main Johnny in this game for two reasons. One, because he's just really fun to play in this game, and two, they gave him a Jean-Claude Van Damme skin. I love Jean-Claude Van Damme. In fact, one of my first videos to do sorta well on my channel was a video talking about my favorite Van Damme movie, No Retreat, No Surrender. But of course, I also love Bloodsport, which is what the skin was mainly modeled after. However, get this, you can't use this skin without putting glasses on him. Well, you can, but for some dumb reason, if you do, he'll lose two of his hype building moves. Moves that are pretty vital to how this character plays. Why they would add a debuff to a piece of gear is beyond me. Okay, it's time. Let's talk about the Invasions mode. Long story short, it's just a worse version of the Crypt. Moving through the maps is ungodly slow. You'll stop at every single point on the map as you pass through. Every single opponent you face in this mode has armor, meaning a good percentage of your hits won't even do anything. Modifiers still suck, they sucked in MK9 and have continued to suck all the way up until this game. I am positive that Jigsaw works at NetherRealm because fighting hundreds of armored CPUs with modifiers that make you choke every 2 seconds is the definition of torture. Also, a lot of the rewards you're going to be getting from these fights are talismans. They're just useless. I went through the entire Invasions mode without ever having to use one, which is another thing. This mode is super easy. Yeah, everything is annoying and slow, but when it comes down to it, I pretty much went through every fight on the first try. There's no option to change the difficulty, by the way. Overall, it just feels like a crappy mobile game. Okay, almost done with my ranting, I promise. This next section is going to be dedicated to some genuine mess-ups by NetherRealm that hopefully are fixable in the next few months at least. The biggest one easily is the whole Player 1 advantage controversy. The one where it was discovered that Player 2 just simply can't do certain combos that Player 1 can. How this can even possibly happen to begin with, I don't know. However, this glitch will probably have been patched by the time this video releases. There are also a bunch of glitches that I've personally experienced while playing. Audio would get really wonky during the third match of certain ranked sets. The screen would also turn black at some times when I play it online, and I've even had 1 or 2 crashes. A lot of the frame data and brutality inputs were incorrect at launch, however I believe they are fixed now, but I could be mistaken. And of course, the greedy and borderline illegal Switch port of this game. You thought the main game was rushed out? Just take a look at the Switch version. It is genuinely messed up how to this day NetherRealm won't release any images or videos of the Switch gameplay, even though they are still selling it for $70 or even over $100. And they even dabbled in some blatant false advertising when they showed PC gameplay in their Switch trailer. You can see a Steam achievement pop up in the corner. The video of course has since been taken down. Alright, we made it to the last section of my video. To top everything off, I just wanted to end with some relatively minor nitpicks that I had with this game. Things that don't really matter, but I wanted to mention anyway. First up, no photo mode. We have the most beautiful stages we've ever had in a Mortal Kombat game, and we can't take any pictures of it. The marketing was slow and came out of nowhere. We knew nothing for 4 years, then all of a sudden, hey, by the way, this game comes out in 4 months. The new item UI dot is bugged and won't go away. The trophies don't have custom icons, and the platinum isn't even possible as of now. We still don't know what a Titan battle is. Even though we now know why Ermac looks the way he does, doesn't change the fact that he is objectively the worst looking character in this whole game. And yes, of course, Megan Fox is a terrible voice actress.
Arena's right. Because of Quan Chi's magic, my realm's people are no longer poisoned by sunlight. We've finally escaped the shadows. Quan Chi! That blade's enchanted. We can't help what we are. That we feed on blood doesn't make us evil.
And I think that will do it for my rant/review. Do you think I'm being too hard on this game? Again, I did say that I really enjoyed the core gameplay and fighting mechanics. It's the main reason I keep coming back to play this. Or do you agree with me when I say that this game was released way too early and should have had maybe half a year more to cook? Let me know what you think of all this, because for the most part, I've been hearing overwhelming praise for this game, and I personally don't think it really deserves all that. Don't get me wrong, I still think it's a good game. It's just that in terms of Mortal Kombat and fighting game standards, it's missing so much content. Anyway, if you're still hearing my voice, I just wanted to thank you for listening until the end. Remember to like it if you liked it, subscribe if you really liked it, and I'll see you next time.